What's going on, guys? Archangel 7 Genesis Gaming, and today I'll be presenting my original Sanctuary Guard Arc deck. So I've ran this through I think 2 to 3 tournaments. It tops every time I play it. I've played it so far, and it's a really cool original deck that I came up with. So I'll start with my starter, Shiny Knight Milius, who is going to search out grade 2s for me with a single counter blast and GB1. Next, the main grade 3 of the deck is going to be 4 Sanctuary Guard Arcs. Arc is a lot better than Sanctuary Guard in my opinion. He has more versatility throughout the entire match versus just a single ride skill and then that's it. So his skill is GB2, which his GB2 is actually pretty good. It's during your turn, all of your grade 1 or less units get plus 5,000 power. And then his on stride skills, basically when a unit with Sanctuary Guard and its card name strides onto him, you can discard a card to search for a grade 1 or less, call it, and it gets plus 3,000 power, and then Arc gets plus 3,000 power as well. So it's a really nice way to build a field, because you need grade 1s in order for the grade 4 stride to work. So good way to get them on the field, and they get a nice power boost. So typically you'll have a 7k unit that's gonna be on his on place 10k, so either 10k attack or a 10k boost. Last grade 3 is 2 copies of Sanctuary Guard Dragon, who I'd rather not ride, but if I have to, he has the Sanctuary Guard name, so I can still use the stride unit. Next is grade 2s. There's 4 copies of Transmigration Night Breed. He is a GB1 12k attacker at the Vanguard. Absolutely phenomenal in this deck. Reason being is because when you stride into the Sanctuary Guard grade 4 and you have a back row of grade 1s, this guy's 21k attacker on his own. So if you're able to extend attacks, that's actually really good. Or if you boost him, you know, he can get to some really high numbers. So 21k attacker with the Regalia stride, really good card. Next grade 2 is 3 copies of Sage of Salvation Benon. Benon's here for a little bit of utility. He kind of gives us a hand draw. Sometimes it's a plus, sometimes it's a neutral. Regardless, he's good utility. He helps create a field as well, get that extra grade 1 onto the field so that your units get even stronger with the Sanctuary Guard stride. Then there's 2 Knight of Twin Swords. He's in here for multi-attacks. 2 is a good number to run. Because the deck runs so little grade 2s, you could really come into a scenario where you don't have, if you have 4 of him or any more, you won't have any call targets. And once you don't have call targets, he becomes useless. So you really only need 2 in this deck in order for it to work out really good. And last grade 2 is Blaster Blade Spirit. He's a nice call target for Milius or Twin Sword. He's also going to get you a retire to the front row, which is nice. It's kind of an added bonus, but I like riding him as on my grade 2 turn for that defensive boost. So yeah, he's really good for that. So this deck really just blends offense and defense really well into like into one turn. It's really nice. So on to grade 1s. So it's only 10 grade 2s total. Not a lot. So for grade 1s, I have 4 copies of Hope Keeper, who is the all-star of the deck. Reason being, this kind of goes into what I just said about it being offense and defense combined. So with Arc skill, you can hit Brave quite easily, and if you call her out on Brave, for one, she gets plus 2,000 power, And then she's also going to get the ability to bounce back to your hand for a single counterblast. That's super good. So once this comes out from off of a call from Arc, it's going to be 11k on its own. So either 11k attacker booster, however, it's going to be 11k, and then it's going to bounce to your hand so that you have defense for next turn. So that's a really nice thing that this deck can do. Then also, if you're brave and you call one and you also have one in hand, you can put them both in a column. It gets really big, and then at the end of turn they're going to bounce to your hand. So it's really nice. It helps against things like Link Joker too, or if Kagero's going to retire you on next turn, or Narukami, what have you. You know, these kind of just leave the field. So yeah, this card, super good in this. Next is my Stride fodder. I do run 4 because I only have 6 grade 3s, so you definitely need them in order to stride, and that's all they're there for. Then 4 copies of Richard. Richard in this deck isn't really a plus. Most of the time he's kind of a hand swap, which gives you a neutral unless you superior call Benon and Benon superior calls him, but you typically have to use about 2 counterblasts in order for him to be a plus. Using him off of Arc skill, it's going to be a hand swap because Arc discards and then Richard draws. So it kind of neutrals out your hand, which isn't a bad thing. It's nice to be able to get a unit and just neutral out. So that's what he's in there for, but he's not a plus, so don't get that twisted. Next is another all-star, and that is Scouting Owl. 4 copies of Scouting Owl. He's absolutely amazing. Reason being is because just like the Hope Keeper, you call him off of Arc, he's gonna be a 10k either attacker or booster. That's offensively. Then defensively, he has a brave ability. You Soul Blast 1 when your Vanguard is attacked, and you can move him to Guardian Circle and he gets plus 5,000 shield. So 10k shield on your defensive turns. Really good. And like I said, Art calls him out. And yeah, this guy's came in handy so many times. Guard restrict decks. I went against Great Nature with it, Managarmer. Anything that guard restricts, this little guy has your back. So he is really good. A lot of times I have 3 of them in the back row. Call her to the front row as an attacker. She disappears at the end of turn, and those guys are there for the defensive turn as well. And then last grade 1 is 1 tech copy of Sonic Goal. Sonic Goal's ability most likely won't be used. It can be though. However, this, like I said, this deck does get brave. So if you happen to be at that point where you're going down to 0 cards in hand, you can superior call him out. He will draw you a card, and he'll also countercharge for you. So yeah, he's just in there just to be in there. I think he's probably the best option I had, which is why I put him in here. But nothing too special about him. Alright, let me scoop these. Alright, for triggers, I run a total of 6 crit. There are 4 lose in here, and then there are 2 Flogos. So the lose don't do anything. Obviously the Flogos kind of throw your opponent off, make them think you're running like a blaster engine. If they happen to see it early on or whatever, nothing special about it, just a little mind game. Next is 2 stand. I run the Encourage Angel stand. The reason being is because I want to hit numbers as much as possible, so she can give a total of 6k to the field on your turn. Then she shuffles back into the deck, so you're able to hit an offensive stand which really helps the pressure of this deck. So just 2 is fine. Then there are 4 draws. 2 Gliding Eagle, and then 2 Margle. Not for any particular reason, just run them. They both have the same skill. You put them in soul, you give a unit plus 3,000 power, so just kind of more power boosting, so my units can get bigger. And then it's also fueling soul for richer, and then also for scouting owl too. And then last is 4 heal triggers. Idris still made me lane because why not? I like her. She's not my favorite anymore, but you know, still good enough to where I put her in this deck. So that is the trigger lineup. And lastly is the stride zone, which consists of 4 Holy Dragon Sanctuary Guard Regalia. They have many names for them: Regalie, Regalie, whatever. But his skill is when you have a heart with Sanctuary Guard in its card name, all the units in your front will get plus 3,000 power for each grade 1 on the field. So basically, back row of grade 1s plus 9,000 to the front row, so forth and so on. So really powerful stride. What makes him so good is just consistent. You know, a lot of things, you know, there's not too many Kagaros being played right now. Nothing's really sniping back row units too much right now. So you kind of, as long as you can stride him, you have just consistent numbers every time, which is hard to deal with. Just every column is 20 this, 20 that, 20 this, 31 that. So, and it's just coming back to back to back. It really wears your opponent down. So Regalie, great stride. Probably the only stride you'll go into, but you know, we have other options with Aerial Divine Knight Altmile. So I don't use him basically at all, but if you need him, he's there. You can Spirit Call a grade 2 and it gets plus 5,000 power. Then your front row is going to get plus 3,000 power. The Superior Call only happens if you're GB2. Other than that, you'll just get the 3,000 power, but he's an option in there. Next one is 2 copies of Blazing Sword Fidus. And his skill, basically you turn him face up, choose a grade 2, call it. If it has the Brave unit, draw a card, which none of mine do, so I won't be drawing. But, let me see, if you're Brave, when he attacks, and you have a face-up card named himself, you can choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, then choose 2 units to get 5,000 to the end of turn. So, nice option there. Next is 2 copies of Saint Blow Dragon. He's another tech option. Like I said, most of these guys over here you won't ever use, but in some cases you might need to. So they're just options. Last one is a tech copy of the newest Sanctuary Guard stride. So Holy Dragon Sanctuary Guard Imperial. He's a pretty bad card, but he has a specific timing to where he's good. And the timing is basically when you know your opponent doesn't have, if you know you can pump up a grade 1 rear guard high enough and you know your opponent can't guard it, then that's when he's good. His skill is kind of boss 1. You have a heart with Sanctuary Guard in his card name. Choose a grade 1 rear guard to end of turn. It's going to get 3,000 for each grade 1 rear guard, grade 1 or less rear guard. And then when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets 10,000 in a crit. So if you know your opponent can guard the grade 1, this is a nice one to go into because he can guarantee a hit, and then your Vanguard is going to come in with big numbers and a crit. But it's just an option, but like I said, it does have a timing. It's very strict. It's not really good, but it's there if you need it. Next is 2 of these laser guard dragons. Just if you have a grade 2, if you have one or more grade 2s, then it gets plus 5,000 shield. You can get 20k shield. And this one is if you have 2 grade 2s continuously, then it gets 10,000 shield. So they're in there. No other good ones for us. I don't want to run a bunch of them. Should though, actually. I should probably up on the laser dragons or something else in there, but I don't know. It worked fine like this. Like I said, it's topped every tournament I put it in, so if it ain't broke, don't break it. But other than that, that is the deck profile. I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a thumbs up. That lets me know, if you guys are enjoying the deck profiles I'm putting up here. Also, if you have Sanctuary Guards, Arcs, and Dragons and things like that, try this deck out. It works really good. So than that, I will catch you guys next time.